Hey everybody! So we are back with Watercolor Wednesday, and as I mentioned in my first video, we're gonna work in this book. It's a Learn to Watercolor book, and it's by Lacey Walker. If you'll go to the intro video that I did last Wednesday, I'll have the link and all that information as to where you can find this book if you're interested in it. I'm not at all connected to Lacey or Rebel Unicorn Crafts or anything of that nature. I just found this and I want to tackle it, and I want to tackle it with you guys. So, let me just preface this by I'm a newbie, and I really don't know what I'm doing, but we're here. That's the way to do it. Just jump into it, right? I've torn the first page out, which is this brick page. I don't know if you guys, yeah, I think you can see it. It's the first lesson in this book. Like I said, in the intro video, I explained how this book works. And so we're just going to jump right into it. I've read a little bit throughout this book. Just a little bit, not too much. Didn't study it too much. So we're just going to kind of go step by step. This should be fairly easy. It is 4 steps. So this is our instructions right here. I'm going to set them off to the side a little bit so I can function with my my paints. So let's see here. Follow the gradient road is what this one is. Let's bump this here for a minute. Forget the yellow brick road. The gradient road will lead you to far friendlier places. Simple but super satisfying painting will help illustrate how many different colors you can make by just moving between 2 colors. Even though this whole exercise is about color mixing, there aren't any specific formulas you have to follow here. You can use whatever 2 colors you like for your gradient road. You don't have to use the 2 I chose. The mixes between the 2 different colors can be really surprising, and you'll notice things about color mixing that you might have a hard time learning just by reading about color theory. Plus, at the end, you'll be left with a super cute abstract piece that's absolutely hangable. Okay, so the supplies she suggested is a 1/2 inch angle brush. This is not, I don't think this is 1/2 inch. Maybe it is. Maybe it is 1/2 inch angle brush. I just am working with what I have. I have a couple of different other options for angle brushes, but I think that one's too small. That one's a little smaller. Yeah, we'll go with a little smaller. Okay, so she suggests a 1/2 inch angle brush. The color palette that she suggests is a phthalo blue and quinacridone magenta. Now, so I did my color swatches on my intro video, and here's my phthalo blue and here's my quin magenta. I was back and forth about that, but I'm going with that reddish magenta one. And then, so the technique is how to mix colors, and there's more information about that on page 32. So let's see here. If you're struggling with how to gradually mix between colors, making sure you have enough color to fill the page, scan the QR code to watch video. We're not going to do that. So let's see here. Step 1, start with a concentrated mixture of your first color. Recommend starting with your lighter hue, in this case, the quin magenta. Make sure you mix up a decent amount so you'll be able to refill your brush over and over again. Begin by filling in the top left brick with that pure color. Okay, so let's see here. I think I think working with the pan colors is going to be a little trickier. Let me just glance over this. Okay. I think I'm probably gonna need, I've got this little mixing well that came in the, came with the pan. But I think I'm gonna need to get better something to mix with. Maybe I'll just play around with these. A couple of different options. I'm typically function when I function in paints. I typically function in acrylics. So watercolors is totally new to me. So start with a concentrated mixture of your first color. So concentrated mixture of the first color would be straight from the pan, in my opinion. Make sure you mix up a decent amount so you'll be able to refill your brush over and over again. Begin by filling in the top left brick with that pure color. But I'm wondering, let's see here, let me just read ahead a little bit. Add a little phthalo blue or your darker second color to a separate well of your palette. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna have to mix up a pretty good, I'm let's see here, let's do this. Let's get a bigger brush. Not necessarily know if I need that big of a brush, but to get me some water in my pan. First, let me preface this by saying this is not a tutorial. If you're following along, hopefully you're not trying to learn something from me. Hopefully you'll just learn something from yourself. Okay. I would say we're cooking with fire there. And I would say the more I add I'm still of the opinion that the most concentrated is straight from the block. Start with concentrated mixture. So let's see here. It's not very dark. Am I getting darker? I'm getting darker. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with that. That's pretty dark. So, okay. Begin by filling the top left brick with that pure color. So let's see here. I've taped off my page. We're just gonna go with it. Add a little phthalo blue or your darker second color to a separate well of your palette. And dip just a tiny edge of the paintbrush into the blue. Okay, so now I need to kind of do the same thing with the phthalo blue. Get me me some water going on here. I remember reading in the beginning of this book that don't be afraid to use water. We're playing with watercolors, so. Wonder how many wells I'm gonna need. And let's see here. Phthalo blue is bottoms 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. I assume we want this to be pretty concentrated as well. Let's see how. It's pretty dark. Okay, so let's see here. Add a little phthalo blue to a separate well of your palette and dip just a tiny edge of the paintbrush into the blue. Okay, so now I assume that I need to be back. You don't want too much because you want the colors to be a slow, gradual change from magenta to blue. Tiny smidge, mix it into your first color. Okay, so let's see here. Add a little phthalo blue to your separate well of your palette. Got that? And dip just a tiny edge of the paintbrush into the blue. You don't want too much because you want the colors to be a slow, gradual change from magenta to blue. Once you've grabbed the tiniest amount on your second color, mix it into your first color. Okay, so y'all are seeing this. So, a tiny amount, and mix it into that. I don't know that that made much of a difference. But I guess maybe that's, I feel like I need a tiny bit more. Okay. Once you've grabbed the tiniest amount on your second color, mix it into your first color. Make sure you thoroughly mix. I think we did that pretty good. Place a stroke of this newly but slightly changed color in the second brick cell. Okay, and she's saying go like right here. Okay. Repeat this process, moving across the row and adding the tiniest amount of your second color each time. Notice that even though each stroke individually doesn't appear to be much different from the one end of the row to the other, there's a huge change. Okay, so we're going to keep doing a little bit of blue. Mixing it in, mixing it in, mixing it in. Okay, we're still repeating the process. A little bit of blue, mixing it in, mixing it in. A little bit of blue. Oh, that was a lot of blue. Mixing it in, mixing it in. A little bit of blue. Mixing it in, mixing it in. I think I'm doing this right. Let me kind of read ahead to see. Work your way down the page, adding tiny amounts of your second color to your mixed color. I suggest working your way down the page, left to right, then right to left. Okay. So, left to right, then right to left, then right, so on. If you're concerned about running out of your color mixture at the end, fill your brush with water and add it to the mixture before starting the new row so you can keep water in your mixing well to continue moving. Keep going until you fill the entire page. Okay, so when you finish, take a moment to really observe how many different color shifts there are between the two colors. Each of my strokes make up about 5% change in the total color composition ratio. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Unfortunately for you guys, I don't know how to speed this up, so I'll just be doing the same thing over and over again. Well, that was a lot on that. A lot on that one too. A little bit of blue, mix it up. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I can kind of tell there's a little bit of blue gradient going on here. Not a lot. Not a lot. But there is. A little bit of blue, mix it up. 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 So the technique is mixing colors, obviously. But I think it's also learning a little bit about gradient. Color gradient. A little bit of blue, mix it up. I don't feel like I'm getting any blue on this, but I can see it's kind of I'm gonna do this just to kind of, it's not the next one in line, but we're gonna make it the next one in line. And another thing, another bonus to this is that any of these pieces that I create, I can use them as painty pages later. Use them in journals or whatever, so that's kind of cool. When you think about it that way. Okay, I've got a gradient going on, but it's not really, it doesn't really look like, it's like a darker to lighter gradient. It's not, if that makes any sort of weird sense. May just be the amount I'm putting on the swatch. I feel like I need to step it up. Like I need to have more blue. I feel like I'm just doing some more pinks. I feel like that was too much. I did like the flat of the brush instead of the tip of the brush in at that time. I do feel like my well over here is getting darker, so we're skipping right there because that one came down really long for some reason. I feel like I'm starting to see a little bit of the blue. It's more of a purple color actually, but you know. I don't know if y'all can tell that or not. Can y'all tell? We got a gradient going on. We're just gonna keep on going. Are you following along with me? Are you, you can do this exercise with your own, by your own self. You don't have to have the book. You don't even have to have these lines drawn. You can just, do your own little swatches. And like she said, you don't have to use these two colors. You could do a mix of colors. We're definitely more in the purples now than we were. And my pan over here is getting darker and darker for sure. And I'm not staying in the lines at all. So we know I can't cut straight, and so now we know I can't paint straight. That's okay. So we're just kind of doing this to learn about watercolor, not really to paint a beautiful picture or anything like that. Okay, I'm gonna set this aside for a minute. Set this aside, and we'll shift some things around so we can, since we kind of know what we're doing right now. I can see a good gradient. I don't know. Let's see here. I don't know if y'all can really see much of the gradient. This is very purple and this is very red. So, yeah, I don't know if y'all are seeing that on camera here, but that's what we got going on here. And I will say the blue's about out, but that's okay because that's a solid color, so I can make more. Use all you want. We'll make more. Ooh, maybe I skipped that one. Huh. Oh well. think I'm going to skip this next big one because he's really big. We'll just add 2 down here. We'll double up on this one. I know it's kind of quiet, but we're in a groove here. As you can see, I'm about out of the blue. Just kind of crazy to me. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but it's not really. I mean, it's like, duh. Each one has a new little step. I'm going to go ahead and do this one down below it. I might have just mixed just enough. Because we are full on purple now. Which is kind of cool. I ran out of purple. I mean, ran out of the blue. So I'm just going to tap into the tray. I know the tray is more concentrated. But I'll just do a little bitty bit. The tray is, I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's off the side here. There we go. Last one. Okay. So, let's see here. Can you see? Oh, you can see. Surely you can see. We started with the pink over here and we kind of gradient to the purple. That's kind of cool. The only problem is my little OCD perfectionist self, I can't go back and like touch up here or there or wherever because I don't have the color anymore. So, that is, you know, an exercise that that's what we're learning. So, okay, let's see what else she says we got to do about this. Okay. Work your way down the page, adding tiny amounts. Left to right, right to left. If you're concerned about running out, keep going until you fill the entire page. Excuse me. Step 4. When you finish, take a moment to really observe how many different color shifts there are between the two colors. Each of my strokes makes up about 5% change in total composition ratio. Now, I don't know, that last sentence doesn't make sense to me because I don't know how to figure 5% change in the total. 5%, 10%, I don't know how to figure that. But I do recognize that we ended here with this purple and we started here with a pink. I do recognize that. And it's not as big of a gradient change as hers is. Hers is purple into like blue into which, you know, maybe if we kept going we would see more of it, but you can see, like I said, my last one is pretty purple and my first one's pretty pink, so I think that's pretty cool. And of course, you know, now I have a painty page to do my journals. So we followed the gradient road. I don't know what else to say about that. Thanks for joining me, and this little episode is done, and we'll be back next week with hot and cold mountains. So that should be fun. So anyways, thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys next week. Bye for now.